Good evening, everybody. Namaste. Introducing a name such as Mr. C.K. Kumaravel does not need any introduction. However, for the sake of optics and for Yuva, this name commands an introduction to set the forum, right? Mr. Kumaravel is going to be giving us his views on teen education, and it's going to be a Q&A format after a small 15-minute intro. Mr. Kumaravel is credited with eradicating the word housewife from the world, and he has been doing a lot of work in that sense. The owner of the brand Naturals, a household brand for which he was he's a co-founder and CEO, grew from a very small idea, and its success story dates more than 2 decades when his seeds of the salon were sown by his wife K. Veena. Today, it's a 600 plus strong salon chain across the country. One notable thing, when you look up his call and his compassion for employment, his compassion for employees, his compassion for entrepreneurship, is a beautiful tweet he had done, to which none other than Mr. Subramania Swamy himself responded and supported his call during Corona. It was such a bold move. Sir, I am a big fan of yours. It is not easy to get such a response from such great people on Twitter when you go for telling what employment means to you. Hats off to you. Mr. Kumaravel's belief is that women are as equal, if not more efficient than men. According to him, the natural strength is easy and simple formula of helping an ordinary woman. He has given many franchising options and adequate guidance in starting and establishing the business. His mission is to have more than 10,000 job opportunities, which he has already achieved, create more than 1,000 successful women and more than 3,000 salons and 50,000 employment opportunities. He's also a very strong social entrepreneur with strong roots towards grassroots level social changes by means of various socio-political initiatives. We are proud to have him amidst us today as part of the Yuva Education Week celebrations. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vinod ji, and thank you, Padmanabhan, and thank you, the members of the Yuva, for giving me an opportunity to connect with one more set of progressive people. I think the word progressive is very, very important, because in a world that we can live our life regressively, we can live in neutral, or we can live progressively. Very small percentage of people choose to live a progressive life, and also sharing the knowledge and the skills and the talent what we have got with other people, so that their life also it can make an impact. So Yuva is doing a wonderful job, and I am very happy to be a part of the illustrious panel when Vinodji read the names that are going to speak, that were speaking before and after me. I think it's such a illustrious name, and I am very privileged to be a part of that. My journey, I want to talk about 2 or 3 things which impacted me in my early childhood, because I feel that the teenage is a very important age. It is a very age where you can really sow some wonderful seeds, and that is a very impressionable age, and that is the age where people around can make a huge difference. And my life also is no different. And I'm from a small town called Kadalur near Pondicherry. And my first entrepreneur I met in my life is obviously my father. And my father's primary business is to buy pharma products in bulk, put it in small packets, and distribute to medical shops. He was a very curious man, very innovative man. He was always looking for new ideas. And one day he was traveling to Singapore to attend an exhibition. He was carrying a Tata bottle shampoo in his suitcase. Fortunately for us and unfortunately for him, the bottle broke and it soiled the entire dress. Instead of blaming the Tata bottle maker or the oil maker, he said, "Hey, here is a problem. Can I fix it and convert to an opportunity?" And that's called entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not an MBA degree. It is not about having lakhs of money in your bank account. It's your ability to think different. It's not about a Tata Birla surname. It's your ability to think different. Can you look at a problem and say, here is an opportunity? Then you are ready for entrepreneurship. Remember, I told my father bought the pharma products in bulk and put it in small packets. He thought, hey, why not I also now buy the shampoo which is in bottle? Can I not pack it in the small packets? He made his own machines. He made his own formulation. He packed the India's first sachet shampoo and called it Velvet and launched it to the market. Last decade, India Today came out with an article about 50 revolutions which changed in India after independence. And my father's sachet innovation was number 8 in that. That was one of the most gratifying moments for us. He said something very important. He said, what a rich person is able to afford, what a rich person is able to enjoy, the poor person should be able to afford. And that was his thought process for packing the shampoo. And we all are now very thankful whenever we see a sachet in any, whether it may be a cooking oil, it may be a shampoo, it may be a what do you call toothpaste, it may be a food pickle, it may be anything which is hanging in the shop. If silently we say thank you to our father, I think that is how much impact he has created in the FMCG market and in the life of customers. So that's our first lesson we got from my father. The second one I want to speak about, which is very close to my heart. This happened in 41 years before my father died. And next day morning, my mother called all 6 of us. I am the youngest, 13-year-old. My eldest brother was 25. And there were 4 more children. My mother called all 6 of us and told, from today, I'm going to be your father and mother. And as a 13-year-old boy, I did not have the grasp of what she is trying to say. But I know that all I could realize at that point was there is some family is in some kind of trouble. And that's all I could understand at that point of time. So here I was, the father told, the mother told like that. And for the next 35 years, she did exactly that. She played the role of father and mother for us. She ran a factory. She did agriculture. She ran a school. She ran a tailoring unit. She ran a bakery. She sang. She danced and ensured all 6 of us are not only safe, but also successful. And here in the other side, I see some wonderfully talented women who are well qualified educationally, has a very good family background, but somewhere they are not having that confidence to get out of the comfort zone and take the risk in their life so that they can put their potential and their talent to showcase their talent and the potential. This I have been seeing again and again and again. And that is where, when it comes to the naturals business, we saw the power of the women. We said that there is a beautiful talent, beautiful potential, which is sleeping in most of the homes. Can we channelize that potential? Can we give a space for that talent? Can we showcase that dream so that we can make a housewife-free India? When I say housewife-free India, I meant not that women should not do domestic chores. It is that they should become financially independent. India may have got independence in 1947. Indians have not. Especially the Indian women have not got the independence. Out of 17 presidents, only 1 was a man. Out of 16 prime minister, only 1 was a male. Less than 3% of the women are seen in the corporate board and in the political board. We are still fighting for a 50% of reservation for 33% reservation. We are fighting even when we are rightfully eligible for 50%. And this is the scenario which is happening around us. And that is when I saw my mother in front of my eyes, a housewife. When she lost her husband with 6 children, she took the life in her hand. And that's what is all our life. So all 6 of us, we don't have a life of ourselves, but we have a life, the dreams of my father and the values of my mother. And that's what we live. So that is when I feel parents are very, very special and very, very close to the heart. And they actually not only give physical life to us, they also give us roots and wings. They give us the values and they give us the dreams to fly. And that's why I always be very, very thankful to my parents at every occasion. And then I want to speak about a very important point which I learned over a life, and that's sort of useful for everyone. It is, if you want to be successful in life and business, we all have to do PhD. I am not talking about academic PhD. I'm talking about a life PhD. P stands for passion. H stands for hunger. and D stands for discipline. Passion, P. Whatever you are doing, do it very passionately. Your involvement makes you important. It is not what job are you doing which is important. It is how much passionate are you doing your job, which is what is going to be the difference. If an individual is to be called a street sweeper, he or she should sweep the street so well, as if Michelangelo has painted, or Beethoven has composed music, or Shakespeare has written poetry. Everybody walking the road should stop and say, here lives a great street sweeper. That is the kind of involvement you should do for any work. When I started my salon business, everybody around me told, why are you doing salon business? This is not a good business to be in, etc., etc. But I told, it's a good business. And an anecdote I want to share, which happened some year ago. I walked into one of my salon. I wanted to have a quick shave in the morning. And the first person, the receptionist, did not recognize me. I felt very sad, but happy also, because I thought, okay, we have become so big, our own people did not recognize me. Then I went and met the first person. That first person also did not recognize me. This time I felt little more sad. Then I went into the salon and I met the second person. That person said, please come and sit down. Okay, I thought maybe he's able to recognize me, but I was not sure. But he asked me, are you C.K. Kumaravel? I said, yes. Oh, thank God, I told myself. And he said, I wanted to come and thank you. I said, for what? I thought maybe he has given some increment or some special training. I asked for what? He said, I am in this industry for the past 14 years. First 4 years in some other salon, next 10 years in naturals. Before you had come, we were all called barbers and hairdressers. Today we are called hairstylists and style directors. The way in which we have started looking at ourselves has changed. The way in which our family looks at us has changed. The way in which the society is looking at us changed. This industry, which was a taboo industry some 20 years before, has become a lifestyle industry today. And for that, thank you, he said. I said, you have made my day. Then that's exactly is the contribution. An industry which is called as a taboo industry is today considered a lifestyle industry. I think that's because of the involvement we have shown. That is because the passion we have shown. When I talk about passion, I need to talk about my friend Otto Annadurai. There are 50,000 auto drivers in Chennai. No one of them is my friend, but Otto Annadurai is my friend. If you get into his auto, he will say, Aditi Devo Bhava, which means guest is God. And then when you go and sit in his auto, you will suddenly find you are transported to another place. Spotlessly clean auto. There will be Tamil magazine, there will be English magazine, there will be hot water, there will be cold water, there will be coffee, juice, then there will be what do you call tea, then there will be a mobile charging station, there will be a Wi-Fi station, there will be a television, and then there will also be an umbrella. If it is raining, he will give you an umbrella, you can return it the next time. Half an hour journey in auto, unauthorized auto, you will suddenly find you are transported to another place. That is because he is not another auto driver. He is an involved auto driver. And that's why in NDTV came out with an article for 10 minutes capsule about him. And then he became very popular. Today, he is a trainer for Reliance. He is a trainer for Naturals. He is also a TED speaker. And that's because he is Otto Annadurai. He is no more an auto driver. He has put passion into his work, and that is why he is standing out, and that is why he is my friend. When I talk about passion, I also need to talk about what do you call the another thing which happened, and then I will move on to my next thing. Passion is whatever you are doing, you should do passionately. Involvement makes you important. Whenever you are going to a startup company, you will see a lot of passion. Looking at the passion of the founder and the co-founder, only team will be formed. They will do the managing director work, they will do clerk work, they will do finance manager work, they will do sales manager work, every work they will be doing. Okay, and because of that, the passion and energy level will be very high, which is what is making the startup company very special. The next one is hunger. Passion will get you started. It is only hunger which will make you actually sustain in life. That is why a lot of children from metros are not having that hunger. They will all do well, but they are not very hungry. They will not really sustain. The children from small town and rural town are very hungry to achieve, and they will really can go on to the next level and the next level and the next level. Hunger is very important. When I talk about hunger, I have to talk about Sachin Tendulkar, one of the greatest cricket player of the country, of the world. Every day morning he will go for net practice and he will play 300 balls. His objective is he has to improve one stroke every day. No day has ended without improving one stroke. If he is not able to improve one stroke in the morning, he will come again in the evening and play another 300 balls. Every day he will improve one stroke. That is why he became Sachin Tendulkar. You should have that kind of hunger if you really want to achieve great things. There is one guy who went to Socrates, the Greek philosopher, and asked him, "Hey Socrates, I was told you are the most knowledgeable person in this world. Why not you give me some knowledge?" And Socrates got very angry. He asked him, "What do you want?" And the boy told, "I want some knowledge." And Socrates took him by the hand, took him to the corner of the road. And there was one small pond there. He took him by the hair and dipped him to the pond and kept him for 20 seconds and pulled him up. And this time he asked, "What do you want?" And this boy told, "I want no, knowledge I want," he said. Again, he dipped him to the water. This time he kept him for 30 seconds. And again, he pulled him up. And this time he said, "Air, air, air." And Socrates told him, "If your quest for knowledge is as much as you want air now, knowledge will come searching for you." It is that kind of hunger you should have if you have to achieve great things in life. And the last one is D. D stands for discipline. Whenever we hear the word discipline, we feel that discipline takes away the freedom. No, discipline actually gives us a freedom. Discipline is a track to run on. Today, the train is the most energy efficient mode of transportation because it runs on a track. Younger age, our parents and our teachers have always told discipline, discipline, discipline. We started thinking that discipline takes away the freedom. No, 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 no. Discipline actually gives us the freedom. Imagine you are getting into a car. There is a accelerator pedal is there. There is a brake pedal is there. One clutch is there. Then one gear shift is there. In the front, there is engine is there. In the rear, there is a petrol tank is there. Petrol is also there. Only one thing is missing in that car. The car doesn't have a steering wheel. A car without a steering wheel will not take you from a point A to point B. Same is life without a discipline. It will not take you from point A to point B. Discipline is a track to run on. When I talk about discipline, I need to talk about my brother, C.K. Ranganathan, who now runs a Kavin Care, a 4,000 crore plus company. But when he was a school student in Kadalur, he was not in the top 5 students. He was actually in the bottom 5 students. But then he joined the college in Annamalai University, Chidambaram. There also he is not in the top 5. He is only in the bottom 5. Nobody knew him by name or by the face. That is how his school days and college days went. But after that, he layered his life based on the platform called discipline. Foundation is discipline. Personal discipline, financial discipline, time discipline, and professional discipline. And that's what has really made C.K. Ranganathan to reach this level. When he says he is meeting you by 10 o'clock, he'll be ready by 9:55. His word is a commitment. And that is how much he has. After that, he has layered other skills on top of the discipline. And that is how he built this company as a first generation entrepreneur to reach where he is. So if you want to improve in life, if you want to grow in life, you all have to do PhD. P stands for passion, H stands for hunger, and D stands for discipline. This is my opening thought. I will then have a chat with Vinodji and share my thoughts as it is going. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Together, let us build a beautiful India.
Thank you, sir. It is so inspiring. I just want to tell you the example of small pack that you gave of Velvet. In my 10th class, which was 1995, Velvet was the first ever shampoo that I ever used. Or I may say it was affordable at that point in time.
Absolutely. That's my father's whole dream is that. I'm very glad to hear.
And then after that, when I moved into Nestle, working for Maggi Noodles, a company like Nestle had to move from premium products to small packs just because small pack revolution started. And I'm so glad to hear from you about the small pack revolution that started from your home. It's really inspiring. Having said that, there are a couple of questions. Dear audience, Mr. C.K. Kumarvel has requested for a Q&A kind of a format. And I think it is only apt that you ask questions to him and gather more information rather than the free flow that is free flowing. Probably he will free flow for another 4 hours also if you just leave him. So he's requested for this kind of a format. Sir, thank you. The teen education concept that we are talking today on, I wish to ask you one question to start with. What is the role of education in teen education?
Education, the role of education is make you to think. Education is not supposed to memorize. We all were used to memorizing, okay, and then going and writing about them. It only tells memory skills. But an education is a real education is one which is making you to think. And that is where you have to use your creativity, you have to use your imagination. Say suppose the memory skills, most of our academics are only testing our memory skills. How many states are in the country? We say 29 states. Then if you ask the follow-up question, how is the country divided into states? We don't have an answer. A country is divided into state, India especially, is divided into state based on the linguistics because of the language what is spoken. And that is how the states are divided. But we have never been told, whenever we ask a question to the teacher immediately says, no, you should not ask question. We have been told that we should be obedient, we should not ask questions. But actually, the thinking mind will open only when it is opening. We should imagine things. Imagination and creativity are very important skill if you want to be hugely successful in life. Memory skill is today not of any use. Today, if you go to a Google and if you ask for any facts, they will give the facts just like that. Albert Einstein was once asked, what is your phone number? He immediately took his notebook and he saw after some few pages and he told what is the number. He says, what, your number also, you are a great scientist, your own phone number you don't know. He says, why should I know that? I think our academic system should change from testing our memory skills to giving creativity and imagination. Education is supposed to make everyone think, and that is the role of education.
Thank you so much, sir. Yuva as a platform is also looking towards many tools in that direction. And it's only apt that today you also say this. There is one question from Ravi Shankar ji. His question is, today being the session for teen education, can PhD be connected to teen education? Passion and the other three angles that you said.
Passion, hunger, and discipline.
Passion, hunger, and discipline. How do you connect to teen education?
Absolutely. I think the passion it doesn't require any particular age for you to be passionate. The hunger for growth also has to be sown at the early age only, and discipline is also has to be from the early age only. There is PhD, though it says that we all know about PhD as only big people and learned people and people who know about things. The life PhD, what I am talking, is starting from very, very young age. A lot of your passion is what is really going to make a huge difference. I feel we have seen a lot of child prodigies and child superstars or who are showing some extremely wonderful passion. But unfortunately, say suppose a musician, A.R. Rahman, let us take example of A.R. Rahman. A.R. Rahman is a child prodigy. He right from the age of 8, he has been practicing on the piano, and that is how much he has shown passion. And then his parents, his mother, allowed him to continue the passion, leaving the work, which was very, very leaving the what you call formal education, going to school. His mother thought that he going for a music education is good for him, and she allowed him to continue focus on the passion, and that is why we have got an Oscar-winning music director called A.R. Rahman. So a lot of people you will say, that is what in Tamil they will say, vilayam payir mulaile theriyum, they will say. So you will be able to see lot of wonderful talent you will be able to identify. That is where the role of teachers are very, 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 very important. A teacher will be able to identify the talent of a person at a very young age. Another example I want to give, the Sania Mirza, the tennis player, was playing tennis very well, and one teacher identified her talent, and she came and told the principal, and the principal called the Sania Mirza's father and mother and told them that this girl is playing tennis very well. You should make her into a tennis player rather than focusing on the subjects. In the first, the Sania Mirza's father and mother did not accept that. They said, no, 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 she should study only. I have sent your school only for making her study. You are talking about asking her to play. And then this principal and the teacher convinced the parents and told that this is a gifted child. She is showing some great skills. Make her focus on the tennis. And that is how the skill of the Sania Mirza, the talent and the potential was identified by the school teacher and the principal, not by the parents. And lot of times we see quite a few people like that. There are some times where the parents can identify. There are sometimes the relatives can identify. There are sometimes the teachers can identify. Actually, teachers are in a much, much better place to identify the talents of the teenagers, and they can really guide them and make them grow great heights, because they are seeing so many children. They know who is the real talent and who is the fad, and that is where the role of the teacher in shaping the children is very, very important.
Thank you, sir. There is another question from Mr. Natarajan, Chairman and MD of South India Finvest. What do you think is lacking in today's teen? What can we do to rectify this situation?
What do you think is lacking in the today's teen? I think we are a different generation. I think the world is moving very fast. Our grandfather, when he was there, his job is he was the only breadwinner of the family. He was only in single job. Okay, from his concept, the boss is always right. Even when the boss is abusive, he will not change jobs. He will not shift anywhere, because that money is required for him to survive the family. That is how our grandparents lived. Then came our parents' life. Our parents ensured that we are given all the they gave us the our grandparents ensured that our survival is taken care of. Our parents ensured they gave us the standard of living, which means they gave us took some car on EMI. There was some fridge available, television available. There is some good school they are able to put the children and make them study. They gave us the standard of living. Then our time came. This now becomes the quality of life and lifestyle. This is what the children today are looking for, because the survival is taken care by the grandfather. The standard of living is taken care by the parents. Now they are looking for quality of life. So any education or any activity which is involving, which is going to help them to feel that they are important, their skill is recognized, they are a part of a mission, and that's what is the children today looking for. That is why the environment of the school is very important. Environment of the workspace is very important, because they are looking for such a thing, because these two are already taken care. When it comes to the children, if you have to ask me what is that they can do better today, everybody have got to Google. Information is no big deal. I was chatting with Kamal Hassan, and he was saying when he was writing for a script for Marudanayagam, he was searching for an original book. And one other friend of mine who is called Venkatesan from Madurai, he is an MP now of Communist Party. He was also searching for his same book. And it took some 7 years for them to identify where the book is. They identified finally from a Calcutta library, and they got that book. After Kamal Hassan finished that book, he gave it to Venkatesan. Today, the same book can be accessed by 7 lakh people in 7 seconds. We are living in an information overloaded time. How are we going to use that information? Today, no more information. Whoever has got information, at one point, people who had information are what you call very powerful. At one point, people who had a lot of land, they are the most powerful person. After that, it became military power. Then it became knowledge power. Now knowledge is available everywhere. Now it is a question of ability to use that knowledge at the right time, at the right thing. That is information. Knowledge has to be converted to information, and information has to be used. And that is what we are in this phase. And the talent required for children at this point of time is to use that knowledge to an information, and that's what we all need to teach them, and they all should be confident. And today multiple tools are available. And most important, I would say, I would quote Alvin Toffler at this point: the illiterates of the 21st century are not the ones who cannot read and write. The illiterates of the 21st century are the ones who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Lot of times we need to learn new tricks. We need to unlearn a lot of things, because the way in which the world is changing, we need to unlearn a lot of things, and we need to relearn certain skills and adapt to us to very contextually use that skill. So that is where we will be very useful. I think the skill required for the new generation, for the teenager, is your ability to adopt to the changing market on a continuous basis, adopt the ability to take advantage of the change.
Thank you, sir. There is a question from Padmanabhanji. He says, slums to kingdoms. What shall we do, sir?
Slums to kingdom. I think the only this thing is charity will keep the poor person poor. Only education and employment will lift the poor from the poverty. The role of, we all should look for how to educate the children, give them the education. They will find their own way of going up. You don't have to give anything else. That is where education is a huge differentiator. Give them good quality education, should be available for every children. And that should be the role. If we are able to give them the education to the children, then slum will be automatically taken care of. We don't have to have a slum department, this thing, all those things, how to take care of poor, etc., not required. Charity will keep the poor person poor. Only education and employment will lift the poor out of poverty. So what as a government should look at is how to give education available for all the children. As an entrepreneur, we should be able to look at how to give quality jobs. Because providing a quality job is a prerogative of the entrepreneur. Providing a good quality education, healthcare, and the law and order is the prerogative of the government. When both work hand in hand, know their role, and they work hand in hand, miracles are possible.
Thank you, sir. So there is a couple of more thoughts coming in. Natarajan sir is asking, as in a non-linear world, pace of change is very rapid. Unless we make our kids lifelong learners, how do we make them lifelong learners?
I think the question is not how to make the kids a lifelong learner. I think we as an adult also should become a lifelong learner. Because this learning, I need to talk about this a little more in detail. It happened when I was in class 7. My father told business success, and I was a Tamil medium student. He told one line which changed my life. He told business success and English are related. And here I was a 7th standard student, Tamil medium student. My father is saying business success and English are related. After that, thought went into my head. I started reading a Hindu paper. Only sports page I will read. And then my life changed. After that, I went to Coimbatore, bigger city, English medium college, co-education. I was like a fish out of water. I was not knowing how to handle. And suddenly, because my father told that business success and English are related, that thought were in my mind always. And here I was looking into the, we'll bunk most of the classes. And one professor, Tyagarajan, was a very interesting professor. He used to take class without a book. And one day he was taking talking about a book called The Future Shock by Alvin Toffler. I went and bought that book, 450-page book. So far, I would have read some 40 pages. Every time I try to read 1/2 page only, I will sleep off. English medium, Tamil medium boy, Future Shock book. And how can I listen to understand what he is trying to say? And anyway, the tamasha was continuing. I was in a search mode. I used to buy books from the platform, 50 rupees books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of my all-time favorite book. I think the title only says everything. Think and Grow Rich. I got that book, and I used to read one page, one chapter maximum 2 chapter. How much can a Tamil medium boy can cope up with this kind of books? Nothing much. But the search was continuing. I came to my favorite bookshop called Landmark in Chennai. I was browsing the counter. I saw one book titled Innovative Secrets of Success. I love these two words. One is innovation, another is success. Since both the words are together, I took that book. After that, my life changed. I opened that book. It was not a book, it was an audio cassette. I got a Walkman, put this cassette into this Walkman, and started listening. First time I heard an English guy speak in a language with which I can understand. After that, audio learning became my habit. Today, I have got more than 1,000 audio video collections. I have got Tough Times Never Lost by Tough People Do. I have got 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, Psychology of Winning, Psychology of Motivation, Being the Best by Dennis Waitley, Robin Sharma's Greatness Guide, Shiv Khera's You Can Win, Mahatriya's Holistic Abundance, John Maxwell, Yuval Noah Harari. Name the author, name the book. I have got it in audio form, and I kept on listening. First time when I listened to an audio cassette, I got only 40%. But when I got listened second time and third time, slowly it became 60 and 80. Certain cassettes I would have listened to some 100 times. And that is what has made my huge difference. The advantage of audio listening, you can convert all your downtime into uptime. If you have to read a book, you should have good lighting. Nobody should be disturbing, and there should be a common place which is very neutral. Whereas for audio, I have to plug in with my earphone, and I kept on my downtime, which is my walking time has become a learning time. My waiting time has become a learning time. My driving time has become a learning time. Every day I am investing into this habit, 3 hours every day. And that is what has made a huge difference. Formal education will make you survive in life. Continuous education will make you a fortune. Formal education will make you survive in life. Continuous education will make you a fortune. If you want to earn more, learn more. 50% of your current knowledge is irrelevant every 2 years. That means if you are not learning anything new, for the next if you are not learning anything new in the last 2 years or in the last 4 years, you are at ground zero. Anything more is minus. Continuous learning is the key. It is not only for children, even for adults. That is why all leaders are readers. You what do you call, you keep on going in the car and listening to Ilayaraja music, and you are listening to A.R. Rahman music, only their life will change. Our life won't change. If you want our life to change, how we are converting our life downtime into uptime, and that's what is very important. The rich people have got big libraries. Poor people have got big televisions. Whether you are rich or poor, go home and find it for yourself. It is the continuous learning which is going to be the key. And I feel it is more and more the children see the adult in a continuous learning platform. It may be registering for a new seminar. It may be a webinar now. It may be going to an post-college, post-graduation, part-time PGDA, or it can be some MBA course which you are doing on weekend. Any kind of course which you are doing that on a continuous basis can really make a difference. I think it is the people on the continuous learning is, in my mind, is a key, and that's not restricted only to children. It is also very important for adults.
Wonderful, sir. Parents, you gave some wonderful insights about parents. And today the world is moving into a nuclear world, and we seeing the depleting values in many families, irrespective of religion and social status, or status of a job or business. How do you think parents need to be counseled, or how do you think parents need to be counseled for handling the teens correctly?
Parents, what do you call? The values are not taught; they are caught. For example, when all 6 of us, all 6 children, when we eat, nothing will be left in the plate. It is because we have seen our father and mother eating such a clean plate. They don't leave anything waste in the plate. All 6 of us cannot do that. So a lot of things, the parents are the children are only watching us. The parents, if they are a role model to them, they don't have to look for a role model outside. I think that is where the role of the parents is very, very important. We all need not give them instructions and gyan and lectures to them. They are all watching us. The way in which we are conducting ourselves, if we conduct ourselves in a manner in which the children sees values, the children sees discipline, the children sees what you call humanity, the children sees love. I think that is more than sufficient, and that's what they want to see that. Yeah.
Who's your best employee, and what have you learned from him?
I think at every point of time, every new employee perhaps is the best employee, because they come with a lot of newness and freshness. They don't have anything hangover of the existing company culture or DNA which is spoiling them. Whenever somebody comes new, I think they are the from whom we can learn a lot of things, especially from today's youngsters. I can say the energy level, the outlook with which they are looking at a problem, they are able to solve it in a very different, very unusual way. They are able to solve a problem. They are able to look at a problem and they are able to come out with a solution. All we have to do is encourage them to be their own self. And one thing I always look at for the associates and also all my friends, I always used to say, whoever is in a learning mode, their contribution will be far more. I think that's exactly what I am looking for. Are you in a learning mode, or you think you have finished studies, you have come here to make money? I think making money is a byproduct. If somebody is in a learning mode on a continuous way, I think he or she can really be a great contributor.
So, extending the question, any of your employees or franchise employees have themselves invested and become franchises? Do you have some case study like that?
I have quite a few of my first employee called Preeti. She walked in as a receptionist, and today she is a franchise partner for us. I have a case study of a valet parking driver. He walked in as a valet parking driver, and then we trained him as a hairdresser, and then he became a hairstylist, and today he is the owner of 2 salons. And my own this Namma Cafe, which I have recently launched with Padmanabhan, the guy is Sundar. He walked in as a he started his life as a delivery boy in Mary Brown, and then he joined Naturals as a salon manager. From then on to an area manager. Then he became a Naturals franchisee, 3 franchisee. Today he is my partner for co-founder of Namma Cafe, the cafe business I have recently started. So I think whenever there is a talent, I think that is where we can really see. We have to identify the talent in them and give them an opportunity. They also grow and they also help us to grow.
Me and my wife recently had the ginger tea in Namma Cafe, and I should tell you that for the first time, my wife said, "This is a new taste I'm acquiring for ginger tea." So compliments to you, sir, on that note, and thanks to Padmanabhan, sir. My next question is based on something you said, which is getting out of comfort zone. Getting out of comfort zone. What are some of the challenges as a teen somebody faces on getting out of comfort zone, and how do you tell that voice in your head not to stop you from getting out of comfort zone? You know, you face the corona actually by force thrown everybody out of their comfort zone, but many entrepreneurs who are successful or teens who are successful actually induced upon themselves getting out of comfort zone. So could you please enlighten us more on what do you tell the voice in your head about the difficulties when you get out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, the most difficult zone to be in and is your comfort zone, because it is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anything forward. You can keep on rocking. It engages you, but it doesn't take you anywhere forward. That's what is the comfort zone all about. I think one of the greatest. I want to illustrate a story which is very close to my heart. This is about it happened in some 500 years before. The lot of people, when they visit Italy in the Florence city, they look at the David statue and they are very marveled at the beauty of the David statue. And the story goes on like this: 300 years before, 500 years before rather, the museum official, they had an 18 feet long marble block, and they showed it to all the sculptors, and they told them that can you do something with this marble? And everybody looked at the marble, including the famed Leonardo da Vinci, and they told that this is a flawed and useless, nothing can be done with this block. And 300 years later, the next superstar of the sculpting industry came, who is Michelangelo. And the museum officials again showed him that 18 feet long block. And they asked him, can you do something with this? And he liked the block and he started doing his work. While he is working, one boy came and saw the Michelangelo and asked him, hey, what are you doing? Why are you hitting the stone with the hammer and the chisel? And Michelangelo told, there is an angel inside. I'm trying to reveal that angel to this world. And that's exactly what he was doing. Within each one of us, there is an angel. If you are in our comfort zone, the angel won't come out. The angel will still remain as a dream, as a potential, or as a talent, which nobody will be able to see that. Even if the whole world believes in you, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody can help you. On the contrary, even if the whole world doesn't believe in you, if you start believing in yourself, nobody can stop you. The quality of the painting is the responsibility of the painter. No blaming allowed. The quality of the sculpture is the responsibility of the sculptor. No blaming allowed. The quality of your life is your responsibility. Don't give the keys of your happiness and your dreams and your potential to somebody else. Take the brush from them. It may be your parents. It may be your boss. It may be your coworker. It may be your friend. Take that brush from them. It may be your spouse. Take that brush from them and start painting your own picture. That is only a beautiful painting on your life will emerge. It is our responsibility to paint our own picture, and each and every one of us can do and should do. And that is possible only when you are coming out of your comfort zone. If you are in your comfort zone, nothing great happens in the comfort zone. And that is where they will say, below your banyan tree, nothing grows.
Amazing, sir. So there's a question from Ms. Kavita Odiapan. He wants to ask, with the fields of study being immensely available, how do we help teens choose their suitable field?
I think as a role of the parent and the role of the teachers is to the teens will get excited about a lot of things, and you should be able to identify which one is a fad and which one is a trend and which one is a fashion. Lot of times the parents want their dream to be fulfilled by the children. Don't do that. The children children are through us, not by us. You should allow them to excel in the field in which they like. And we are a facilitator. We should not own the children. Lot of times the parents the teachers try to own the children. I think that is where their unfulfilled dreams, their unfulfilled potential, their unfulfilled this thing, they want their children to live that. No. The children are through us, not by us. I think we should realize that, and we should be a facilitator. We should ask the children, what do you want to achieve in your life? And if the child can say that, and then your job is to facilitate in making she or he to achieve that dream. And that's what is the role of the parent. And that's what the role of the teacher. And that's how we should look at it. And a lot of times we are trying to hold them. We are very possessive. And that's where the children become repulsive, and they they don't listen to us, and they start looking at elsewhere for the answer. I think the role of the parent is to find out what are they passionate about, and we should become a facilitator rather than possessor.
Of all the books you have read, if you have to propose 3 books for the teens. These are the must and should books that you should read. Top 3, what are those? This
I
is
think
for the
7
teens.
Habits of Highly Effective Teens, I would say, is a number one book for the, because it is very comprehensive. Bhagavad Gita, Dhammapada, Bible, Quran, and all the what you call scriptures are all wonderful books. The difference between those books and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for the adults and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens for the children is that the habits are put in sequence: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it is sequential. I always used to say that success is like knowing the combination to your number lock. If you put the number right, the lock will open. The lock won't mind whether you are a male or a female, black or white, educated or uneducated, rich or poor. As long as you are able to put the number and in sequence, the lock will open. Not only the number is important, the sequence is also very important. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the Stephen Covey has put that number in sequence. There are numbers are available in all the in many books, but why find this one to be a classic? Because this is a 7. The number is in sequence. So I think begin with the end in mind. Be proactive. Think win-win. Put first things first. Seek to understand, then to be understood. Then synergize. Sharpen your sauce. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is put like that. I think that's what is making that book a classic. And I will also recommend the same thing, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, for the teens. I think the one of the biggest mistake in the, especially in the Indian academics, is that we have not been taught about financial literacy when we are in school and college. Suddenly, when it comes to business, everything in real life, everything is about money, everything is about personal finance, it is about business finance, it is about trading, all these things which we have never been taught in our school. In fact, when you are young, in our home, we have been taught not to speak about money. We have all been conditioned to think that we should not talk, we should not be greedy, we should not be thinking about money. All rich people are bad people, and thinking too much about only money is bad. And because of that, we completely lost our touch with the money. I think we should all have an understanding of how money works, what is money, and how it is traded, how to earn money, how to save money, and how to invest money. All those things is some of these tricks which Rich Dad, Poor Dad, financial skill for the teens he is talking about. And the next one I would want to talk about for the children is Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. I think it's a wonderful book to keep our mind in a very positive mind frame and look for very solutions, is what I will say.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. With 5 minutes to go, I have only 2 more things to checklist. One is your message to today's team, and second, thank you message by Padmanabhan ji. Vote of thanks by Padmanabhan ji to end the session.
The first one I want to talk about, this happened when I went to my school. My school called me as a speaker for the my school. This happened in Kadalur. As I was walking in, I saw the same ice cream vendor selling ice creams. And I told him to get 100 of my favorite ice cream. I spoke to the students, children, and I told them, here is my favorite ice cream, and you can all take this ice cream. 95 children took that ice cream. 5 children did not take it. They said, no, I don't like this flavor. I have some throat ache. I want a cup ice cream. They somehow cajoled me. I was in a good mood, so I got them the 5 ice cream. That is when I realized, in life, you will get what you have the courage to ask for. In life, you will get what you have the courage to ask for. Till I was 35, around 38, 40, I did not have the courage to ask for my position in life. I used to really work hard. I used to really struggle. I really used to learn a lot of things. But when it comes to the right occasion, I will not show my hand. I will not ask for my position. And life will keep on going to somebody else. I used to tell I am not lucky. And people are, what do you call, in this world, you should know, you should be well connected. Only people who with good connection can do well in life. Will talent and all will not work. I used to blame myself, and life used to go like that. That is when I realized, in life, you should have the courage to ask for your position in life. Life will not otherwise give. That is when I always used to say, keep a selfie frame Whoever is coming in the selfie frame, you can take the picture. People who are not coming in the selfie frame, a mobile phone cannot take picture. And life is keeping an invisible frame for all of us. If you are coming in that frame and saying, hey, life, give me position, life will give position. If you are not asking our position, life will not give. So let us not, life is neutral. Life is not favoring anyone. Life is not against anyone. Life is a neutral. It is our responsibility to ask for. In life, you will get what you have the courage to ask for. So ask for your position in life. Get your best position and shine like a star. Together, let us build a beautiful India. Thank you so much and best wishes. Over to Padmanabhan ji.
Thank you so much, sir. Padmanabhan,
Namaskaram.
can I?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kumaravel sir. It's really a very, very good session, and Q&A was really very interesting, and all the questions are very, very beautiful, and we could able to learn a lot. We will definitely implement your PhD, thing that you have shared with us. I think this PhD, Vinodji, please take it up very seriously. This PhD is going to be a real change that India is looking for. We'll definitely work on it in the right sense. And we thank Kumaravel ji for this particular webinar time. This particular time is not just 1 hour. I feel like this is like lifetime lesson. That's what I can say. It's an opportunity for us, and we have learned a lot. This PhD is one thing, and I thank CKK family for teaching us culture of our nation. Culture of our nation. They've completely given us what it is and how it is and how it has to be. I wish Kumaravel ji, from beginning onwards, I told him even before some time, he has to come on a video clip on a continuous basis. I'll keep sending him various messages. Vinodji, we'll send him, because such a great people. We want visual messages. All these youngsters need lessons. With sir's blessing, I think we'll take it forward in right sense. And I thank each and everyone who has participated. And let us take his message to the world at the earliest, in a fastest manner. Make sure that it reaches more people, and we will rebuild India in a fastest manner. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kumaravel sir. It's honor.
Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity, Padmanabhan sir, Vinod, and all the team members. Thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to connecting again.
Thank
and my
you,
best wishes.
Kumaravel. And this is Meenakshi ma'am, Damayanti's principal.
Okay. Hi, ma'am. How are you? Good to hear your voice.
To get connected, and I have never had an opportunity to be talking to you like this as principal of Damayanti.
I wish soon that you will give me an opportunity to speak in your school also.
And I want to say that now the 7 habits what you are mentioning is working wonders in our school, where the teenagers are able to explore the leader in themselves. And I would want to say that it's emphatically followed, where the Stephen Covey books and the methodology is so very well fitted into the curriculum. I just wanted to mention that, as you said, it is not being missed out, and I think many more should follow that principles and make use of that.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. It is not only the content, the way in which it is structured.
Yes.
That makes the 7 habits really the awesome one, and my all-time favorite. Thank you, Padmanabhan sir. Good to see you. See you soon. Happy Pongal and Happy New Year wishes to everyone.
Thank you, everybody. 6 p.m. now, and we will keep the discipline and respect for everybody's time, and we will close the session here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.